Hello, good morning students. In previous class we had discussed regarding the sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction we had discussed regarding the examples, like there are different types of organisms which are going to reproduce in the form of what I told you. Some organisms they used to lay the eggs, and some organisms they are going to give birth directly to the young ones. Understood? And I given you the homework regarding oviparous and viviparous organisms. Right now, after that we have discussed regarding reproductive cycle. Reproductive cycle in the sense what? The what cyclic changes in the activities. Cyclic changes in the activity of ovaries, accessory glands, as well as hormones in an organism. Okay, that we have discussed, and we have discussed two types of reproductive cycles, like estrous cycle and menstrual cycle. Difference between the estrous cycle, menstrual cycle. Then we have discussed regarding seasonal breeders, then continuous breeders. Okay, these all the things we are discussed in a previous class. And then we are discussed regarding sensuousness, or we are going to call that one as old age. This is the period, or we are going to call that one as a last phase of the lifespan. It is the last phase of the lifespan, and in this particular sensuousness in a plants and old age in animals, here what is going to happen? The metabolic activities which are going to, like metabolic activities are going to reduce, other activities are also going to slow down. Okay, and ultimately at the end the organism has to die. That is what death of an organism. These things we have discussed in a previous class. Today we are going to go for further in a sexual reproduction. That is what we are going to discuss now. Events in sexual reproduction. What is meant by events in sexual reproduction? Now you all know that is what, in the sense, sexual reproduction is complex, elaborate, and follow a regular sequences. It is not like a sexual reproduction. That time only I mentioned what is that. The sexual reproduction is a complex, elaborate, and follow a regular sequences. Understood? Now here sexual reproduction, it is mainly characterized by fusion or a fertilization of male and female gamete, and these things you all are come across. I told you in a previous year, in the sense first year you have studied regarding the definition of fertilization. What is fertilization? The fusion of male and female gamete, and it is going to form a zygote. And after the zygote, what is going to happen? Embryogenesis. Embryogenesis in the sense what? The formation of embryo. Formation of embryo. This is what the main characterization of sexual reproduction. That is the fusion or a fertilization of male and female gametes. That is, then it is going to form a zygote. Then it is going to go for a further what? Embryogenesis. Now, what are the events? I written here, see, events. First event is, we are going to call that one as a before fertilization, that is pre-fertilization. Second event is a fertilization, that is a fusion of male and female gamete has to take place. Then at the end, the post-fertilization event. Now we are going to start discussing the first event, that is the pre-fertilization event. What is the pre-fertilization event? Yes, see, definition I written, or what are the pre-fertilization events? I used to read here, see, events of sexual reproduction are take place before the fusion of gametes. ಈಗ ನಾ ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಸೆಕ್ಷುವಲ್ reproduction ದ ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೇಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್, ಆಗೇನಾಕತಿ ಝೈಗೋಟ್. ಅದೇ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ಗೆ ನಾವೇನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ? ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಜೇಷನ್. ಇಲ್ಲೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ ನಾನು, ಪ್ರೀ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಜೇಷನ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವುದು? ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಏನು ಒಂದು ಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳಾಗ್ತವೆ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಜೇಷನ್ಗಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಆಗೋ ಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನಂತ ಕರೆಯೋದು? ಪ್ರೀ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಜೇಷನ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೆಯೋದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಜೇಷನ್ ಆದ ನಂತರ ಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳು ಏನಾಗ್ತಾವೆ ಅವಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಕರೆಯೋದು ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಜೇಷನ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೆಯೋದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸೆಕ್ಷುವಲ್ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ದಾಗ ಎಷ್ಟು ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅದಾವು? 3. ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೀ-ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್, fertilization, and last one is post-fertilization. So now we are going to discuss in detail regarding pre-fertilization event. The events of a sexual reproduction are take place before the fusion of gametes. Before ತಂದಾಗಿನ ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ, ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಏನೇನು ಒಂದು ಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳಾಗ್ತಾವೆ ಸೆಕ್ಷುವಲ್ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ದಾಗ ಅವಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರೀ-ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ರೈಟ್? The pre-fertilization events of a sexual reproduction are take place before the fusion of gametes. Before the fusion of gametes are called as a pre-fertilization events. And in pre-fertilization events, again we are going to study the main two events. In pre-fertilization, gametogenesis has to take place, and after the gametogenesis, gamete transfer has to take place. In the sense, in pre-fertilization event, again gametogenesis and gamete formation. You all know the gametes in the sense male or female gamete. Genesis in the sense formation of gamete. Here gametogenesis definition adna simple agi nodri. The process of formation of male and female gametes is called as gametogenesis. I told you gametes in the sense male and female, atu genesis in the sense formation. So gametogenesis, the process of formation of male and female gamete is called as gametogenesis. Now gametogenesis ದಾಗ ಏನಾಕೈತಿ? Formation of gametes ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. So what are the gametes? One is male and another one is female gamete. And when the gametes are going to form, that time those are in the form of haploid. Those are haploid in nature. Haploid in nature in the sense they have the n number of chromosome. And now we are going to study there are the different kinds of gametes in a different organism. Like in previous year when we are discussed regarding the sporophytic generation and gametophytic generation ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್, ಆಗ ನಾವು ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದು ನೋಡ್ರಿ. ಏನು ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾವೆ ದೋಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಅದೇ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಅದನ್ನೇ ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡತ್ತೀನಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗ. ದ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೋಮೋಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಐಸೋಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್. ಹೋಮೋ ಆರ್ ಐಸೋ ಇನ್ ದ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಬೋತ್ ದಿ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್, ಟೂ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಇನ್ ದೇರ್ ಅಪೇರೆನ್ಸ್. ಅಪೇರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ? ಅವು ಎರಡು ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಿರ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅವು ಎರಡೂ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ನಾವೇನು ಮೇಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ನಾಗ ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ನೋಡ್ರಿ. ನಾವು ಮೇಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ತಂದಾಗ ನಾವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೇನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಚ್ಚೆಗೊನಿಯಾ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಎಗ್ ಆರ್ ಓವಮ್. ಸೊ ಇವು ಎರಡು ಏನು ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾವೆ, ದೀಸ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಇನ್ ಅಪೇರೆನ್ಸ್. ಕಾಣಾಕ ಎರಡು ಸೇಮ್ ಇರ್ತಾವೆ. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ವಿ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್ ಟು ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸಿಯೇಟ್. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಮೇಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ನ ಎರಡೂನ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಇಫ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಟು ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ which cannot be differentiate into male and female gamete, they are so similar in their appearance ittandaga we are going to call that one as a homogametes or a isogametes. In the sense two gametes are so similar in their appearance so that it is not possible to differentiate them into male and female gametes, into the male and female gametes. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ algae. Now in opposite to the homogametes, that is heterogametes, in the sense two gametes are morphologically different. Two gametes are morphologically different in the sense male and female gametes are different. That is what here see, the male gametes are called as anthrazoid, or we are going to call as a sperm, and female gametes egg or ovum. And here we are going to differentiate them morphologically. They are different. In the here I drawn see ಈ ರೀತಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಓಮ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಅಂದರೆ ಇವೆರಡು ಏನದಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಅದರೊಂದು ಮಾರ್ಫಾಲಜಿ ಏನೈತಿ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಈಚ್ ಅದರ್. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಇರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಏನಂತ ಕರೆಯೋದು ನಾವು ಹೆಟಿರೋ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರು. ಅನಂತರ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಎರಡು ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಇದ್ದು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ we are going to call that one as a homogametes or a isogametes. So I hope this is clear for you people. In the sense, idu notes na ella barkonbidri. What is that? Events in a sexual reproduction daga more events ಬರ್ತಾವೆ. Pre-fertilization event, fertilization event and post-fertilization event. ಅದ್ರಾಗ ನಾವು ಈಗ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದಪ್ಪ ಅದನ್ನ ಪ್ರೀ-ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡತ್ತೀವಿ. ಆ ಪ್ರೀ-ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ನಾಗ ಏನೇನು ಬರ್ತದ, ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಬಂತು. ಓಕೆ, ಆನಂತರ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಕ್ಕಿದ್ದು ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ನಾವು we are going to discuss regarding the sexuality in organism. ಈಗ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ರಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಏನು 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ನಿಮಗೆ ನಾನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಅದು ಇದಾದ ನಂತರ ಬರ್ತೈತೆ. ಅದು ಯಾವುದು ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಪ್ರೀ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಈಗ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗ್ತೈತಿ. ಅದು ಏನೇನಂತಂದಾಗ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ದಾಗ ನಾವು ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಸೆಕ್ಸುಲಿಟಿ ಇನ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ different types of plants. In the sense, we are going to call them as a bisexual plants and unisexual plants. Bisexual plants atandagena male and female reproductive structure are present on a same plant. Unisexual atandaga both are different. And we have studied the flowers also, bisexual flowers, unisexual flowers. Okay, and in certain fungi, yes, see, in certain fungi we are going to call that one those as a bisexual ka navenanta karitive homothallic anta karitive athwa monoecious, homothallic and bisexual all are similar. Definition number yarneva, the plant which is consist of both the male and female reproductive organ on a same, or the both the male and female sex organs are present on a same plant, that is called as a bisexual or homothallic or monoecious. And unisexual in the sense what? The organisms are the organisms which are consist either male or a female, what we are going to call that as a reproductive structure or a flower. That is what we are going to call that as a unisexual, or we are going to call that as a heterothallic and dioecious. Heterothallic ಅಂದ್ರೇನು ಒಂದು, dioecious ಅಂದ್ರೇನು ಒಂದು, ಆಮೇಲೆ unisexual ಅಂದ್ರೇನು ಒಂದೇ. Okay, so in unisexual flower there are the flowering plants. We are going to call that one as a male flower atandra staminate. If the flower consists of stamen, that flower is called as a staminate flower, and commonly we are going to call that as a means male flower. Pistillate tandaga, if the flower consists of pistil, that flower called as a pistillate flower. And you all are studied these things, stamen and pistil, in a last year in a chapter morphology of flowering plant da kaltidir ನೀವು. What are the reproductive organs of the flower, accessory organs of the flower. Then we have studied the stamen, in the sense anther, two parts of the anther, lobes of the anther, okay, pistil, stigma, style, ovary. These all the things we have studied last year. So now in this year you are going to remember staminate, the definition. Staminate andre the flower containing the stamen, that is called as staminate flower. The flower consists of pistil, that is called as a pistillate flower. Okay, and if you are going to call that flower as a male flower atandaga, that consists of stamen. And if you are going to call the flower as a female flower, that is going to consist the pistil. Understood? Likewise, when we are going to go for the animals, again in animals also there are the bisexual and unisexual animals. Bisexual attandaga we are going to call them as a hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodites in the sense both the male and female reproductive organs are present in one organism. What I told you, both the male and female reproductive organs are present in a one organism, is called as hermaphrodites. Examples banbittu earthworm, leech, tapeworm, etc. Okay, and when we are going to go for the discussing in a plants, last year we have discussed the different, what we are going to call that one as a phylum, like Monera, okay, fungi, algae, bryophytes. In a plants it is used to come kingdom ಪ್ಲಾಂಟೇದಾಗ ಬರ್ತೈತಿ ಇದು. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಲೋವರ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಆರ್ಗನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾವೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತೈತೆ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ the haploid plant body. Here we are going to get the haploid plant body. Haploid in the sense n number of chromosomes. And in higher plants like pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperm, we are going to get the diploid plant body. Diploid plant body andre 2n number. ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 number ಇರ್ತೈತಿ. And from the diploid plant body, if the gametes are going to form, those are going to haploid gametes. And if from the diploid to the haploid conversion ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತೈತಿ, ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾಗ್ತೈತಿ. and that is what ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಹೆಸರು ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್. ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ಆರ್ come across the cell division, definition of cell division, and there are the two types of cell division. One is mitosis, another one is meiosis. Mitosis ka matonda seri ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್. ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಕ್ವೇಷನಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರು. ಅನಂತರ ಮಿಯಾಸಿಸ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದದ ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇನ್ ಹೈಯರ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್, ಸೆಕ್ಷುವಲ್ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಹೈಯರ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ದಾಗ ಟೆರಿಡೋಫೈಟ್ಸ್, ಜಿಮ್ನೋಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಆಂಜಿಯೋಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಇವತ್ತರ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಹೆಂಗಿರ್ತೈತಿ, ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಇರ್ತೈತಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಾಮ್ ದ ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ plant body, if the gametes are going to form a haploid, that time there will be a reduction division in the sense meiosis has to take place. Meiosis has to take place, and the sense haploid in the sense one set of chromosome. Here what I written, one set of chromosome. And in diploid organisms, here when the haploid gametes are going to form, that time what is going to happen in a diploid organisms, the specialized cells are there. We are going to call them as a gamete mother cells. What is the diploid? In a diploid organism, the specialized cells are there. Those are called as a gamete mother cells, which undergoes meiosis and meiosis are called as a meiocytes. ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲೈಸ್ಡ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾವೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ದಾಗ ಅವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾವಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ದೇ ಅಂಡರ್ಗೋಸ್ ದಿ ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್. those are called as a meiocyte. ಈ ಮಿಯೋಸೈಟ್ನ ಒಂದು ಮಾರ್ಕಕ್ಕೆ ಭಾಳ ಸತ್ಯ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳಿದಾರು. ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ meiocytes? What are meiocytes? In diploid organisms, the specialized cells, we are going to call them as a gamete mother cells, which undergoes meiosis, are called as meiocytes. Okay, so these all are after the what we have studied yesterday. ಸೆಕ್ಷುವಲ್ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ದಾಗ ಏನೇನು ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ನಿನ್ನೆ. ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಬರ್ಡ್ಸ್, ಎಗ್ ಲೇಯಿಂಗ್, ಅನಂತರ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಬರ್ಡ್ ಟು ದ ಯಂಗ್ ಒನ್ಸ್, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಆದ ನಂತರ ಡೆತ್ ತಕ್ಕ ಆದ ನಂತರ ನೀವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಆಯಿತಾ? ಓಕೆ, ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಐ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ sexual reproduction, in that pre-fertilization, fertilization, post-fertilization. In pre-fertilization, the gametogenesis, gamete transport, then the types of gametes atandaga, homogametes or isogametes, heterogametes. Okay, these are the things you are going to remember. Okay, so these concepts are bit easy, but you are going to focus on these things. Okay, 1 marks 2 marks question adu bartirtavu. Now questions ಏನು ತಂದಾಗ, what are the events of sexual reproduction, what is fertilization, what are the events of pre-fertilization, what are the events of post-fertilization, ಈ ರೀತಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಗಳು ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ನಾವು ಓಕೆ ಈಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತಾಗ ಏನು ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಿಯೋಸೈಟ್ಸ್, ಹೆಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್, ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಕಲ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ಕಮ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾವೆ, ಹೆಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಾವೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತೈತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಆನಂತರ ಮಿಯೋಸೈಟ್ಸ್ ಅದು ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದಿಸ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಟಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್. Gamete transport in the sense what? In gamete transport, what is going to happen? The male and female gametes must be physically brought together. Gamete transport ಏನಾಕೈತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಮೇಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ಫಿಮೇಲ್, ಈಗ ನಾವು ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟೈಪ್ ಇರ್ತಾವೆ, ಮೇಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಬ್ರೌಟ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತೈತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಆಗೋ ಒಂದು ಮೇಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬ್ರೌಟ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಎರಡೂ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಬರ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಕೈತೆ ಆಗ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಎ ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೇಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Okay, now what is going to happen. There are the majority of organism, male gametes are motile and female gametes are stationary. For example, here see, these are the male and female gametes. Suppose this is the male, this is the female. Usually what is going to happen, this male gamete, it is motile. Usually motile it has capable to move from one place to the another place, and female, what is we are going to call as a stationary. Female, it is called as a stationary, in the sense non-motile anta karibodu. Stationary atandre non-motile, it is not going to move. And last year, based upon this motile and size of the the gametes, we are define the different kinds of gametes also. You go and recollect the things we are going to study it in a in bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperm kaltaga ನಾವು ಅದರ reproduction ಅಥವಾ reproductive cycles, sporophytic generation, gametophytic generation kaltaga ನಾವು ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೋಡ್ರಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ gamete transport ದಾಗ ಏನೇನು ನಮಗೆ ಕಲಿಬೇಕಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ, when we are going to discuss regarding gamete transport in the sense, if after the formation of gametes, they have to transfer. In the transfer, in the sense, in a gamete transfer, male and female gametes have to brought, means male and female brought together, in the sense allow the fertilization. And I told you there are the different kinds of gametes. The male gametes, usually that is the motile, and female gamete is stationary. Okay, therefore what is going to happen, sometimes in algae and fungi, which are both types of gametes are motile. I told you one is motile and another one is non-motile. But sometimes for example, what we are going to discussing here, gamete transfer. Okay, sometimes what is going to happen, algae and fungi. In algae and fungi, what is going to happen, both the gametes are motile. Here, algae and fungi, see, I told you usually the male and female gametes, the male gametes are motile and female gametes are stationary. But in case of algae and fungi, both the gametes are motile. In algae and fungi, both the gametes are motile. Okay, in such case, what is going to happen, if in a several simple plants like algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes, now this is the the conditions when we are going to discuss about the gamete transfer. The gametes may be male and female gametes. In that, male is going to motile, I told you, females are stationary. But in algae and fungi, both gametes are motile. Now what is going to happen in a simple organisms like, or a simple plants like algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes, for the transfer of these gametes, what I told you, some simple plants like what I am telling here, algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes. Okay, in these simple plants, the transfer of gamete, it is take place through the water medium. What I told you, the gamete of transfer, it is take place through the medium water. And a large number of male gametes, however, sometimes large number of male gametes are going to fails to go and meet with the female gametes. Okay, that's what it requires a production of large number of these gametes. Sometimes the gametes are going to be lost during the transfer. Okay, and when we are going to discuss regarding the plants, that time we are going to study one term that is important one, is pollination. one term we are going to study. That is what we are going to call that one as a pollination. Pollination in the sense what? The transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. That is in detail we are going to study in a sexual reproduction of flowering plant. Okay, that's what here we are going to discuss in a pre-fertilization events. In the sense, in a pre-fertilization events, gametes has to form, in the sense that is the gametogenesis, then gamete transfer, in the sense whatever the gametes are going to produce, the male and female gametes. Sometimes I told you the male gametes are motile, female gametes are stationary. In some algae and fungi both are motile. Okay, and these transfer of gametes required a medium for transferring from one to the another, or if they are going to fuse or brought together, it required the medium. That's what I told you here. The algae, bryophyte, pteridophytes, the water is required for the fusion of male and female gametes, and in some what we are going to call that as a wind also required. The animals are going to carry out the mating of these things. This is about regarding the plants, or what are the what we are going to call that as a organisms which are stationary. But the thing is, when we are going to study the animals, and animals, that the since male and female gametes are formed in a different individuals, and the organism must evolve in a special mechanism of a gamete transport, and there is a successful and coming together of the gametes essential for the most critical. In the sense, here I told you some of the medium are required. In animals, we are going to call them as a mating. When they used to mate, that time the male gametes are transferred into the female organism, and there the female has to produce the female gamete, and they are brought together and fusion, then it is going to form a fertilization. So these are the things how the gametes are going to transfer. So I hope you all are come to know what is that. In the sense, in a gamete transfer, I told you there are the different kinds of gametes, in the sense male and female gametes, and these male and female gametes has to brought together for the fusion, and that fusion we are going to call as a fertilization. And here I told you many times the male gamete is motile, female gametes are non-motile, or we are going to call as stationary. But in lower animals like algae and fungi, both are motile, and for the transfer of these gametes are required some medium like water in algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes. And in higher organisms, if we are going to call them as a flowering plants, that time what is going to happen, the transfer of these pollen grains from anther to the respective stigma, and that process we are going to call as a pollination. And there we are going to study again in a next chapter, in the sense chapter 2, sexual reproduction in flowering plant. There we are going to study the different types of plants, in the sense bisexual, unisexual plants, monoecious, dioecious, etc. And in animals, the special kind of process we are going to call that as a mating. When the male and female has to mate, that time the male has to transfer the male gametes in the form of sperms and deposited into the female reproductive tract, and female has to produce the female gamete like ovum, and they are going to brought together for the fusion. That is what we are going to call as a gamete transfer. So this is about what in events of sexual reproduction. There are the three events I told you. One is a pre-fertilization event, second one is a fertilization, and post-fertilization. In pre-fertilization event, I told you the events which are take place before the fertilization, those are called as a pre-fertilization events. In that, one is gametogenesis and gamete transport. Gametogenesis in the sense formation of gametes, male and female gametes. Types of gametes, homogametes and isogametes. Another one is heterogametes. Then we have discussed the gamete transport, in the sense how they are going to transfer, what are the motile, stationary, if both are motile, the examples are algae and fungi. And transfer of gamete require the water media in algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes, etc. So this is about what the today's class. In today's class we have discussed the sexuality in organism, like bisexual plants, unisexual plants, homothallic, monoecious ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೂಡ bisexual, heterothallic ಮತ್ತು dioecious ಅಂದ್ರೆ unisexual, hermaphrodites ಅಂದರೆ the animals which is consist male and female reproductive organs in a single organism, that is earthworm, leech and tapeworm ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಆನಂತರ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಟು ಹೆಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಮಿಯಾಸಿಸ್. ದೀಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ we are discussed in a today's class. So I will stop here and we'll discuss in a next class what is that in the sense next event, that is fertilization. Thank you.